Hi shipmates! We've been trying to decide the best way to get this YouTube channel going, and that brings us to today, which is a snowy but pretty good day because we just picked up this rental pickup truck and Adam built this pretty ingenious temporary box around it with some 2x4s and plywood to move all of our stuff from Colorado Springs to Ventura, California, where Easy Day is waiting for us. And over the next 3 days, we're gonna be making that trip, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to tell you the story of how we prepared to sail Easy Day from Seattle to Southern California. So let's see how it goes. So a girl from Argentina
and a guy from the States
met climbing in the Andes.
Such just was their fate.
Now a Colorado family.
Soon an idea grew
To start a new adventure.
Where the kids are known as crew.
Here are their lessons.
Learn along the way.
On board their trusty sailboat.
Her name is Easy Day.
All right, so the last 9 months have been packed with my Navy retirement, a whole bunch of sailing courses. In June, we purchased a boat, and then we got it ready. Took a month of refit to get it ready to sail down the coast from Seattle to Ventura, California. You see, in June, we bought a 1984 Swan 46 from Swift Shore Yachts on Lake Union in Seattle, Washington. At the beginning of August, my brother and we loaded up my truck and we made the 24-hour drive from Colorado Springs out to Seattle. The mission was simple. We had to get the boat ready to be able to sail down the coast. You see, we couldn't keep the boat in the Pacific Northwest because the family wouldn't be ready to cruise until now in November. If we had waited till now to cruise as a family from the Pacific Northwest, it would have meant a really risky sail down the coast, and that's not really an option for us with 2 kids.
However, you can safely sail down the coast to Mexico in the winter after you pass Point Conception in Southern California. The Refit took over a month of non-stop work. Easy Day was outfitted with new toilets, a life raft, new starter batteries, an AIS radio combo, a new mainsail, Starlink, fire extinguishers, and all the necessary tools for fixing stuff offshore. Adam also rebuilt the feathering prop and replaced the zincs. After the mast was down, he could focus on bigger jobs. First was to inspect all of the bronze seacocks. Next was to clean the corrosion out of the keel grid. Then he torqued all of the 16 keel bolts.
510 Newton meters on a 46 millimeter nut.
The last big job was attach a weld and retorque the 6 standing rigging brackets attached to the mast. After all this work, the mast was ready to go back in, and Easy Day returned to the slip in Lake Union. When she was ready for a test sail, I flew out to Seattle with the boys for a Shakeout cruise to Lake Washington.
Hey Teddy, your bedroom's back here. Go back there where Gunner is. What do you guys think?
That was followed by a renaming ceremony with the whole family and friends.
Great Notus, exalted ruler of the south wind, grant us permission to use your mighty powers in the pursuit of our lawful endeavors, ever sparing us the overwhelming scourge of your scalding breath. Scalding breath? Okay, this concludes the ceremony. I will now show you the name on the boat, Easy Day. Yay! Yay! Which I will pull the towel off. Here is Easy Day.
Ooh, I like the orange. Nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so once Easy Day was ready to sail south, I then drove my truck down to Southern California, where it would await Easy Day's arrival a couple weeks later. Then it was just a short train shuttle back to the airport in Santa Barbara and a flight up to Seattle. And I was able to link up with all the folks that were gonna help take Easy Day south down the coast.
I flew in from Colorado while our friend Arda came from Santa Cruz, and his dad, Caner, retired from the Turkish Navy, came all the way from Turkey. Adam made sure we had a courtesy flag on our boat for our special guests. Our first challenge was to get out of Lake Union and into some salt water. Going through the locks for the first time was a bit stressful, but fortunately we had some coaching from Molly, one of the brokers from Swift Shore. Our first day was full of fog, current, lightning, and thunder. Fortunately, by the end of the day, we arrived safely into an anchorage in Port Townsend, where we walked the town and we had a super nice dinner with friends. To time our next leg's tidal currents correctly, we left at 3:30 a.m. to ride the conveyor's belt out of the Strait of Juan de Fuca.
Yeah, so right now we're in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, about halfway between Port Townsend and Nia Bay. And we're trying to decide right now if we're going to stay the night in Nia Bay or if we're going to continue on out of the strait into the Pacific and turn south down the coast.
By that evening, we arrived safely to Nia Bay at the mouth of the strait. Here, we spent 2 nights as we waited for good weather, which gave us the opportunity to top off our diesel tanks and learn about the history of the area. On September 1st, we were ready to take the big left turn into the Pacific Ocean, which marked the big first milestone of our trip.
Right, so it's the 1st of September, 06:18 in the morning. We are at a milestone in our journey. We are about to turn left. We're just a couple minutes away from turning left as we come out of the Strait of Juan de Fuca and head south. Destination unknown, possibly Eureka, California. Duncan Rock is right over here. There's a rock out there that you can barely see, and that is Tatoosh Island, Cape Flattery. We have about 2-meter waves, and we're hoping that's gonna mellow out once we make the turn south. All right, we're still motoring, but we're at the point where we're gonna make the turn south. So I'm gonna do that live here on camera. And here we go. All right, that is the turn south.
Okay, so once we made the big left turn to head south, the wind actually wasn't all that great for sailing. So we ended up motoring a lot more than we would have liked. And the other thing that was complicating everything was I wasn't very familiar with Easy Day's fuel burn rate. And also the fuel tank gauges were not working. So all of that together made it a really uncomfortable situation because it meant that we didn't really know where we should pull into next because we were using so much diesel fuel.
I thought being out in the open ocean would be scary with big waves and no sight of land. However, once we hit the big blue, Easy Day took the 9-foot swell pretty smoothly and I felt pretty safe. Getting our sea legs was a different story. During the first couple of days, it was hard to eat and get motivated to do anything else other than the minimum. I never thought that I could sleep that well in so many hours on a boat. Night watches were interesting and a bit spooky. At times, all we could see was fog, completely relying on our navigational tools. Adam and I took the mid-watch from midnight to 3 a.m., while Arda took the 3 hours prior, and Caner took the last 3 hours. We even had a chance to celebrate Arda's birthday at sea.
Happy birthday, dear Arda.
Happy birthday to you. Today is the third day of our voyage down the coast from Seattle to San Francisco, Ventura. And right now we are about 90 miles away from Eureka, California. That's where we will pull in tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock. That's the best time that the tides and the currents are not going to cause us a problem pulling into the harbor.
540 nautical miles from Nia Bay, we pulled into Eureka, California. This was a river bar crossing, so it was very important to time it correctly. If you show up at the inlet while the current was going up, this could counteract with the drainage. This could cause steep and frequent waves that could actually break at the inlet, which is not good. Once more in Eureka, I flew back to Colorado, and Adam took on another crew member named Nick that wanted to continue sailing down the coast to San Francisco before he had to go back to work in Seattle.
So Arda, Johnner, Nick, and I prepared for our next milestone, which was Cape Mendocino. So rounding the Cape turned out to be less daunting than we had thought, which actually gave us some time to observe the wildlife, and we had some close whale encounters. Wow. 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 Oh! Rounding the Cape also marked that we would only have one more round of night watches before entering San Francisco Harbor. So entering San Francisco Harbor was a day that I'll never forget. There are a few harbors in the world that have such a clear delineation of their entrance like the Golden Gate, and I was honored to make that entrance with Arda and Johnner. San Francisco marked the end of Arda and Johnner's journey, and after anchoring near Sausalito, we said our goodbyes. It would be several more days before my friend Kirk would arrive to help me get further south, so I joined Sailing Marmaris on a day trip over to Angel Island, which gave us some awesome 360-degree views of the bay. On the morning of the 12th, Kirk and I were sailing south. All right, Tuesday morning. Yeah. Golden Gate's coming up. We're headed out of San Francisco Bay. Destination unknown, someplace south. Half Moon Bay, Santa Cruz, Monterey, or Pebble Beach. Not sure which. After an enjoyable sail to Santa Cruz with some great wind, we anchored for the evening. Alright, so we're in Santa Cruz. Next to the Santa Cruz Wharf, we're anchored up out here. And there is a lot of sea lions making a lot of noise underneath that wharf. I don't know if you can hear them, but this has been going on all throughout the evening. This morning when we woke up, and they're just still making a lot of noise. They're having a good time over there. The following morning, I got to see Arda again as he waved from the pier right down the street from his house. The 13th was a casual, windless trip across Monterey Bay. As we approached Monterey, the whales began to make their presence right here once again.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
That evening we anchored up in Pebble Beach, and I was even able to get some free diving in the kelp beds in, as I used to do when we lived in Monterey. The next day took us past Piedras Blancas Light Station, before a quick overnight in the San Simio anchorage near Hearst Castle. Then, the following day, we sailed past the Diablo Nuclear Power Plant
the only remaining nuclear power station in California. Soon after, we were able to pick up a mooring ball for $20 a night in Port San Luis, which included a water taxi during the day. Kirk had to say goodbye, but later that night I was joined by another friend, Andrew, who came out to help me make the final push to Ventura. Almost there. The following morning, we headed for another milestone, Point Concepcion. This is another cape full of windy weather and conflicting currents. This cape also protects much of Southern California from the northern Pacific winter weather. We had around 25 knots of wind, but the currents were manageable. After rounding the cape, we immediately ducked into the Coho anchorage, just barely in the lee of the cape. Our final leg to Ventura was exceptional. The next day, we sailed past the oil rigs in Santa Barbara Channel, a passage that was teeming with wildlife.
Oh my goodness!
We pulled into the working dock at the Director Boatyard just before sunset. After 7 weeks of learning and risk management, I could take a breath and trust that Easy Day would await our return safely out of the water. The following morning, she was hauled out and I was driving back to Colorado around lunchtime. I couldn't resist surprising them, so I pushed hard to arrive a day early. Hey! Ooh, now I get the hugs. Woo!
Daddy.
We're all here.
We're all
It's
here.
good to see you guys.
That is for now. Now we're living on a boat.
Stay tuned for an update on our travels through the Channel Islands in San Diego.
Bye.
Bye.